prior to this request I was banging on for years about I can't keep doing this in terms of trying to manage like anywhere from 80 to 100 people and doing it all via paper-based. It's just administratively taxing. So I just said I can't keep doing this and it needs to have a system. And then eventually when Justin's needed this, it's a bit more of a catalyst to get it going. And so my role here is training and staff development manager. So I'm overseeing the apprentices, of which we've got 7 at the moment. We've had as many as 20 apprentices. I also sort of manage the SiteConnect aspect of it. So setting up the sites and setting up the system, printing out all the QR codes, making sure that sort of My role's pretty demand responsive, as you probably could understand, in terms of health and safety. Largely depends on what comes into the morning in terms of emails and requests and things like that. So in terms of trying to establish policies, procedures, reviews, and also, developing new swims, JSAs, it's a lot of admin time. So Scott Construction's been around about 50 years. We're the biggest building company on top of the south. We're currently working in the Nelson region. We're in Takaka. A site staff of around about 115 guys, plus contractors and plus temp staff. Current managing director, Justin Candice, has been with us 17 years. I guess going back further to that, like prior to the company getting so big and expanding so much, that he would be able to go to site and know who's on site and say, "G'day, Bob. G'day, Jim. G'day, Craig." That would never have been an issue for him. And then he's kind of stepped away a little bit from the recruiting process where our operations manager took it over, and then these people were recruited and he didn't even know these people that were on site apparently employing. This became a real point for him, and we developed some Excel spreadsheets and things like that with photos and printed them out for him about who's on what site and things like that. But that was time consuming and onerous on everybody else. I just said I can't keep doing this and it needs to have a system. And then eventually when Justin's needed this, it's kind of a bit more of a catalyst to get it going. And with your system having your profile and you putting in your profile picture, it meant that he could take his phone onto site, stand there and go through the list and go, well, I know that's not Dave, and I know that's not Scott, and I know that's not Jeremy. If the photo had actually been applied to it, obviously he could use that so he could actually address the individuals by name as opposed to, so that was important to him. My role, training staff development manager, so I'm constantly booking guys into EWP, into harness, first aid, etc. It's fantastic having the ability to put the information onto SiteConnect, knowing that in 3 years' time or 2 years' time, it's going to alert me to refreshers, etc. I like the fact that it does it 28 days in advance and then 14 days and so on. The fact that it gets emailed out to the individuals as well, because they often say to me, hey, my EWP expires in a month. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. And I think the other function that I like is being able to export it to a PDF onto a spreadsheet and then filter it right down to who's due for first aid next month or in 3 months' time or whatever it may be. The tracking of the competencies and qualifications is very, very good. If it's harder to report or they've got to physically fill out a form and take time to do it, you're not going to know anything's happened, so you can't intervene. What I tell the guys is, it was only a cut. And I said, yeah, but a cut might happen on your site and you're seeing a snapshot of your site, one site. I'm seeing everything over 25 sites. And if that cut has happened on 3 or 4 other sites, it becomes a trend because of the actions that you've taken, may be taken by someone else on another site. I'm finding a trend, I'm intervening, I'm changing a process, I'm making it safer. In order to do an incident report with this system was another reason that they could do it in less than a minute or two and do a near miss or something like that was so quick, take a photo, done. Everybody could see exactly, it was so visible as to what actually happened or occurred or what caused the incident that you could actually limit your input into it. You could limit the time and effort it took to go and do an investigation or to do a site inspection to see if everything was okay. So we've had our biggest month last month in terms of the amounts of incidents reported on across all our sites. So that's a proactive lead indicator that shows that something's being addressed on site or there's a good news story. It's not just all about bad. So it could be
the safety observation noticed about what's going well on the site, and someone getting recognised that, yes, this is what's happened and this is what we've done, and we've congratulated the guys on site. Bang, it could be done like that. And then we've had 33 incident near misses, things like that, that have occurred. So I know that sounds bad that you're kind of getting all these incidents recorded, but it's actually a good thing when they're such minor in nature, where you can actually intervene and then prevent something major from happening. So the encouragement for these guys to report incidents, no matter how minor they are, is actually really good, because I'm seeing a lot of minor incidents and no major ones. This is something I've found as a bit of a direct trend in relation to this stuff. Typically, when you proactively discuss and make a safety observation on the system, the safety observations go up, and it indicates that the incidents near misses actually start to trend down. So over a couple of months, if you increase your safety observations, I'll nearly guarantee you that your incident investigations and near misses will actually trend the opposite direction. Because it's such a proactive lead indicator, and you're actively changing a hazardous situation on site and recording that, people then realizing that health and safety is on the forefront of their minds, and they're actually monitoring health and safety on site actively. So that is where you need to be. That is typically the guts of how to manage health and safety on sites. In a nutshell, there was 2 or 3 others that we were looking at. Some were excessively expensive, which kind of put it out of the realms of possibility, in that that's quite a lot of money to outlay in order to try a system that you're not quite sure if is actually going to meet your needs, right? I think the pricing point of SiteConnect was kind of the trigger to go, yeah, I think this is worth trialing, because at this price we can manage that. And then if it doesn't work, then we would look at another system or something else. Now, look, 4 years later, here we are, 4 or 5 years later, we're here still. So there's no competition in safety. So anyone who's using this system would be using it for a health and safety perspective, training, competency, things like that. So there's no competition between businesses in relation to that. That is something that's real, that needs to occur for every workplace. So anybody should be feeling comfortable to give us a call to give them some insights around what we've found and what we've discovered. So we're more than happy to provide that information to any prospective client that you might have ready for onboarding. So, that's just a no-brainer to me, because that's how we've always operated here at Scott Construction. So get out of the Stone Age. It is worth a crack. Give it a go. Have a play around with the system, create some dummy sites like Steve was saying before around townhouse training site. So that's quite invaluable, because you can do anything you want in there. It doesn't need to form the basis of your technical data you get out of the system. So it's worth a crack, and have a go at it.